Hey, everybody, welcome to this episode of Compassion and Courage. I am Marcus Engel, I'm your host, and with me is my hostess, the hotness, aka Marveline. Hi, babe.
Hi, you did that really well.
I know
Thank
I'm
you.
learning after,
Thank you.
nearly 200 episodes, I'm learning how to introduce you properly.
We'll work on it. I'll give you a new one for 200. How about that?
Okay, there you go. There you go.
I'll pick my own.
Nice, nice. That'd probably be the best anyway. So today we wanted to talk a little bit about this idea of scarcity and even more specifically how to overcome a scarcity mindset. So when I hear the word scarcity, I think lack, I think limitation. And by definition, scarcity, it's actually an economic principle, but it's this idea that there is not enough. This idea
Not
that there is not enough. That is what scarcity is. And we can have scarcity about a lot of things, right? The first thing that comes to mind is we have scarcity over that there's not enough money, right? We can have scarcity over that we're not spending our time in the most fruitful ways. We can have all sorts of ideas of where lack is in our life. And what's unfortunate about scarcity is it can have a little bit of that domino effect where you get a little scarce about one thing and it starts to bleed over into other aspects of life and it starts to topple those dominoes. And the next thing you know, you not only have scarcity in your life, but you have a mindset about it and your life revolves around scarcity. Now, we don't want our lives to revolve around scarcity, the idea that there is lack, because when there's lack, what happens? What happens? There's fear, right? We take the word scarcity, we distill that down a little bit to the word scare, and we have fear, right? We have fear that something bad is going to happen, or that this certain moment that we're in right now that is comfortable might in some way become upset or destroyed. We get scared over these things, and so I have had to deal with a lot of scarcity in my own life. And you will know this story because as an 18-year-old college freshman, whenever I lost my eyesight, I did have a real honest to God lack, right? I had lost my most precious of my senses. Now I don't see it that way. I look at hearing as the most precious of our senses. But at the time, I could have let my lack of sight really wash over into many other aspects of life. And it was a very an intentional move not to let my life be controlled or AKA destroyed by fear, by uncertainty. And so that takes some courage, as we've talked about with the title of this podcast. But we want to step out of that mindset of scarcity, and I think that we all have it in some way or another. Maybe it doesn't control every aspect of our life, but if we have that scarcity mindset, it ends up limiting our life in some way. When we start to see lack and limitation, guess what? We're going to find lack and limitation. And so, hearkening back to the story of losing my sight, one of the things that helped me understand that I had an abundant life left, even though I had lost my sight, were my friends and my family. And I know that my friends and my family still loved me despite the changes that had come, despite the fact that I was physically and emotionally different. The fact that there were differences about me now that no one had ever foreseen, that I hadn't foreseen, certainly. And the fact that I was still loved and appreciated by these people and engaged with as a quote unquote normal person was one of the things that helped me get over that idea that there would not be enough love in people's hearts for me, right? That scarcity, that there was not going to be enough love and acceptance for me. And so when we talk about this scarcity mindset and how to get around it, one of the things that we have to start with first is the idea of appreciative conversations, right? Appreciative conversations and inquiries and engagement on a very personal level, right? Once we understand that we can be there for other people and other people can be there for us, that is where the start of appreciative conversation comes in, when we can truly be actively listening in that moment and working with curiosity to understand another's viewpoint, not going in with this idea of, well, we have to accomplish something. So appreciative conversations are our first tip today on how to overcome this idea of a scarcity mindset. Do you have another one there for me, my dear?
I do. I'm going to throw in one of my favorite things about appreciative conversations. I loved this when we were preparing for today, because the opposite of an appreciative conversation is what I think of as a grouchy conversation. And I believe you attract what you respect, what you give your time to. And we've all been around that person, and the only thing they can talk about is gossipy or, complaining about something. Making the very self-aware decision that that's not who you're going to be and what you're going to do. You're going to be talking up people. You're going to be talking about the good things. You're going to be searching out and finding them. And just the process of searching out and finding good and things to be appreciative for starts switching your brain a little bit from not enough to look how much good there is in this world. And I am going to stop right here and just make the disclaimer. Everybody knows this, I think, but we are not doctors. Although I did play one in a movie. And if you haven't seen the dropmovie.com, you really need to go there because, you get to see my hands as a doctor. It's really cool. All right. So
nothing except your hands. It's like the beginning of the Dukes of Hazzard.
My hands.
It's just your hands.
But that's okay. It was quite fun. And I got to wear gloves and scream and all, get this. But they edited that out. But they left my hands. So apparently I was not a really good doctor on TV. So, but do watch the Drop movie. Okay. I appreciate you, Mark. And when we tell people we appreciate them, that also causes this reciprocal effect. Now, the next thing that I think we should talk about in this context and this concept is to reduce social media consumption. And I know this is something you are really big on, Marcus. I am as well, kind of from different viewpoints, but let's hear it. Talk to us about this.
Well, let's just think back to some of the studies that have been done over the last several years that have made mainstream news. And this is the idea that the more you use social media, the less happy you are. Right. I think this is started to been proven that not only are we comparing ourselves to other people, but at the same time, it's helping exacerbate that scarcity mindset because we're comparing ourselves to other people and people are not showing their failures and their flaws on social media. They're only showing their successes. And the other thing it puts in front of us is advertising. Well, scarcity is used by advertisers. You've got to act now to get this deal at this one low price, and it's only available for the next 15 minutes. Right? That is a scarcity tactic that's used by advertisers. And I challenge you to find some advertising that doesn't use that scarcity mindset of the potential viewer in some way. So whenever we have somebody shoving products, services, etc. at us, it makes us feel like, oh my gosh, maybe I do need that in my life.
Right.
And my life is lacking if I don't have that latest new gadget, or I don't have that latest new kitchen utensil, cooking utensil that I saw in an infomercial. Right? These are some of the ways that social media can really mess with this idea of scarcity and accelerate it in our minds. I realize whenever I sit down to view social media, it's certainly with the knowledge that I'm going to be advertised to, right? I am the product, I am the end user, and they're going to advertise to me. Now I have to just make sure I don't want any of the things that are being advertised. And that is a personal skill that I have to develop, how to want less. I think that's something we can all develop.
I think so too. And I'm backing up and thinking of the 1 or 2 a.m. you're scrolling social media and you see it and you go, oh, I didn't even know that existed. Now I have to have it. Well, if we did know it existed, we wouldn't be buying it. And we're forgetting that the people selling it to us are doing it for their own profit, which is appropriate. I mean, we are very, very pro small business, but they're doing it not because it's in our best interest. So go, go all the people that stop ordering at 1 or 2 in the morning and the package comes in and you forgot you even ordered it. I mean, my friends, not me. I've never done that. So I have done that though. And then got a surprise, and usually it is not as magical as it appeared. But scarcity is something that I struggle with. And I have to, when I'm going into decisions, I have to stop and say, okay, where is my leaning toward this coming from? Am I sitting in a scarcity mindset, or is there really real logical reasons to make the decision or have the choice that I'm making? And just being aware of it has helped me a whole lot. Now, I want to clarify this right here. We are not talking about actual people living in scarcity. We are going to do that, but not today. When you really don't have enough food on the table, you are going to have scarcity make your decisions. If you can pay only the car payment or the rent payment, you've got to make those decisions. And far too many people are, in that situation. So we are not talking to you. We're talking about people who, because of, like Mark's experience, get to a point where they don't live there anymore, but they still function from that place. And I know personally, I've had times in my life where food scarcity, etc., was a real experience. That's not the experience I live in now, but I will still have moments of being frightened of doing something, and of reaching out, of trying things. And I have to sit, and Marcus, sometimes you ask me, okay, is that because you're functioning from scarcity, or is that a legitimate reason, not to take this chance and try something new or whatever? So I appreciate that you do that for me, Marcus. It's a great thing to have. And my favorite tactic for overcoming when you feel like there's scarcity, like there's a limited amount and you're not going to get a piece of it. My favorite tactic is sharing what you have with other people. Because the moment you do that, there's a scripture that says better to give than receive. I don't know how other people interpret it. I interpret it as like, I can't give you what I don't have. So to be able to have something to give makes you feel so wealthy, comforted, happy. And it can be taking a dinner to a neighbor who you know is sick. You've got the gift of making brownies, bring them to my house anytime. I will accept that gift. It can be a gift of that. It can be a gift of time, of service, running an errand for someone. You don't have to be so wealthy to be a giver. It starts in your mind. You look for ways that you can give.
When you give, you have enough. Uh, you're fortunate to give, right? We talk about this because it's getting to be tax time of year, and we love paying taxes. I mean, as much as anybody does love paying taxes, you love paying taxes because why do you pay taxes? Well, it meant that you made money, right? How do we forget that? Because we don't like to lose more money, and losing money through paying taxes is not something we like to do because scarcity kicks in even more. We have less, so it's that continual avalanche of one thing rolls into another, and the next thing you know, you're living your life in fear.
In fear. And that is such a miserable place to live. And, that's not a political statement. It's simply this is the system that we have right now. And it says, if you earn, you pay back at the end of the year. When I hear the accountants say, "Oh, you're getting a refund," my heart sinks because it's like, "Oh, it was one of those years." So, and I have had years like that in another lifetime. So, and I know some of you have too. And I know some of you have walked through really hard times. And I'm sorry if you're walking through one right now. This is not to make light of that situation. Simply, people who no longer live in that situation, still the hangover in our mind that says, I'm afraid there's not enough. So sharing with others, share a book, share a conversation. Sometimes just go to the person on the street that is grouchy and whines a lot. Go sit
Share a
down.
smile.
Just go sit down with her and have a conversation. Let her talk. She's probably lonely. You can give up 15 minutes and then have an excuse to get out of there. Did I say that out loud? You know what I mean. There, you have something you can give. I love share a smile. If I don't care why they're on the street corner, if we choose not to hand money, I always make eye contact and smile because that's a human being, and I can acknowledge that. Period. No explanation needed. I can do that. And when you have patients and family members that are struggling, just that extra moment of human connection sometimes is the biggest gift you can give them. And of course, whatever medical treatment they need. All right. Okay. Then the last one we're going to talk about tonight is, this is my favorite one too. They're all my favorites. It's look for the positive every time you have a loss. And I'm always saying you either win or you get an education. There's no losing. You win or you get an education.
Sometimes educations are expensive.
And hurt, right? Sometimes they
Yeah.
hurt. But when you sit down and unpack what went wrong, okay, I wish I had done this. The I am also famous for saying, don't should on yourself. I should have done that. I should have done this. I should have. That doesn't help. But unpacking it and looking to see what can I do different next time, and changing that verbiage from I should have to I will try XYZ. Then it becomes an education and it becomes something that sets you up more for success next time. Do you shit on yourself a lot, Mark?
I do. I do. And I at least now am aware of it when I do that. And I try not to. I really try not to because I realize there's no upside benefit in it, right? There's no upside benefit in uh, rehashing or ruminating over the things that are in the past. All we can do is go forward with a better education, with more wisdom, with more knowledge.
Absolutely. And I love that we are given the very fact that we are given the opportunity to unpack it means we've won something. You know, it's a good thing. So I love the concept of unpacking situations where we feel like we have lost, and even they're painful. You can't always do it quick. We're not talking about, never feel sad. You will feel sad and you will grieve sometimes. And again, because the way that I'm wired, I can wake up at 2 in the morning remembering something I said stupid in junior high, however many years ago, and have nearly a panic attack. Oh, why did I do that? I shouldn't have done that. Nobody else remembers what that was, but it creates so much anxiety in me. So stopping and instead saying, you know what? I, was dorky. I said something goofy, and I'm next time I'm going to be better prepared if a middle school situation appears before me.
If you go back in time.
If I go back in time, or if
Yeah.
a person says the same thing that makes me respond the same goofy way. I was a little bit of a dork in junior high. I know you're shocked.
Everybody was a little bit of a dork in junior high.
Especially in the 80s, because we had the hair and we had the whole thing, and it really made us all dorky. But and dork now is a good
It's
thing.
cool. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's a
cool.
good thing. So I'm proud of being a dork now. But at the time, it wasn't fun. But you can't go back, but you can learn. And I even practice if I know I'm going into a situation that will cause me stress or anxiety. I get on the front side of it and I go, what did I do last time that did not work? What can I do this time? And I'll say phrases out loud, or I will do something to be better prepared if I'm confronted with that situation. And I consider that a win. I I took that thing and killed me at the time. I was red faced, horrified, for weeks, but I feel better prepared now for some of those situations. And Mark, you were always cool. Were you cool in high school?
No,
No,
no.
I don't. I don't necessarily believe you. I think you probably were, but um,
I
I
didn't. If I was cool, I didn't know it.
well, that's the coolest kind of cool.
Oh, well, okay.
That's the
But
coolest.
I think I, like so many people, had a bit of a scarcity mindset in high school that I was going to get left out, that
Oh yeah,
fun was going to be had without me, that there were people that were in a group that I was not part of or
yep.
that I was not welcome in. I mean, that all goes into a scarcity mindset.
And
Um,
we all get left out of something.
Certainly, certainly, it's going to happen, right? That what we cannot allow to happen is for an incident to start to topple that whole domino effect where everything starts to become something that we look at as there's a lack, there's there's less than, there's not enough.
There's not enough
And
friends to be made. There's not enough, of an upside to try something. To try something different. And, we think of scarcity, you've got the real actual scarcity, but then you have it where it's just in your brain, and it goes the opposite of scared is, can be brave. That's one of the opposites. So be brave enough to try something different. to go out there. And if it's a massive failure, you learned how to do it differently next time.
That's all we're doing, right? We're taking our successes, we're being happy with those, we're taking our failures, we're learning from them, we're always growing, always developing, always evolving. And we hope that that's exactly what you got from this conversation today. So thank you for being with us on Compassion and Courage, Conversations in Healthcare. I'm Marcus Engel. Marveline Engel is with me as well. And we want to invite you to visit marcusengel.com for keynote speaking opportunities, books, consulting, etc., etc. Thank you all so much for being with us on this episode of Compassion and Courage.
Appreciate you.